Peace and blessings, Star Family. I'm Michael. Welcome to another lunar cycle video overview here on oneskyastrology, constellational astrology channel. It's eclipse season, so we've got some big waves, intense twists and turns. It's also deep Pisces season, so for the second month in a row we have a new moon in Pisces and a full moon in Virgo. Little extended Pisces Virgo emphasis, especially since the nodes have been in those stars as well. South node in constellation Virgo since late 2022, and North node in constellation Pisces since mid 2023. It's eclipse season. Check this out. The new moon April 8th is a total solar eclipse, and the path of totality is going to be over Newfoundland, United States, and Mexico, and it's affecting the North and Central Americas. If you live here, well, not Alaska, they're sort of out of range, but a lot of it looks like Iceland, Greenland, and Canada is going to be able to experience or witness the effects of the eclipse. We'll spend some time in this video looking at the key points in the lunar cycle, as well as the planetary transits this month. Eclipses are more volatile times, and they tend to spark or catalyze change, which brings with it the attendant stresses and anxieties that change is famous for. We often want change, but we don't want things to be disrupted. Eclipses bring both, so it's not going to be uncommon for things to be disrupted in various ways. You can start there this month. But with so much happening in Pisces, we're actually going to be focusing almost exclusively on this area of the sky that we see here. Aries, Pisces, Aquarius, Pluto's in Capricorn. The only thing happening on the other side of the sky that's relevant to this reading is that the South node's in Virgo. And Pluto's just into Capricorn in the more goaty part of Capricorn, the part that is not fishy, the goaty part of the goatfish. Yes. Saturn and Mars are conjunct in Aquarius. Venus and Neptune are conjunct in Pisces. And that's pretty auspicious because Neptune is ruling a Sun-Moon North Node conjunction that is the eclipse. When the nodes get together with the Sun and Moon, we have eclipse. With this Sun and Moon, we have Chiron, 1 arc minute away. I think it's one of the more important alignments that we'll see, but it's not the only one, because Mercury and Eris are also 1 arc minute from exactly conjunct. They're separated by a little bit of ecliptic latitude, but in the longitude, they're 0 degree, 1 arc minute relationship. And this month sees a rarer conjunction of Jupiter and Uranus in Aries. They are going to conjoin, and that's an event that happens once about every 14 years. But the last time it happened here on the Aries-Taurus cusp was 1941. World War II was raging. So I mean, not to be dramatic. Hopefully we can mention World War II without sensationalizing anything. But this will occur. This conjunction will occur April 20th, 2024. This is probably going to be the astrological event of the year, generally speaking. And I'm going to be recording a dialogue with Maria Schumacher very shortly after this video that you're watching right now comes out. Maria and I are going to get together, and we're going to spend around an hour just drilling down on this Jupiter-Uranus conjunction and seeing what's there. So if that interests you and you're here for that, we're not really going to focus overly much on that conjunction in this video because we have this sort of special dialogue coming up. All right, let's check these charts out. Yeah, we have the new moon. New moon, April 8th, 2024. It's a new moon that symbolizes in and of itself, just as a new moon, a very low point in the energy fluctuations in the pulse, the heartbeat of the solar lunar cycle. A new moon is a kind of downtime, so it's not a very dynamic time. It's a great time to receive, to plan, to strategize, to prepare. It's a great time to meditate, to pray, to connect, and kind of all of that with an eye to the full moon and looking forward to those full moons. And we'll talk about that when we get there. But they're more highly charged, more dynamic times of the month. But what a new moon is a sort of natal chart for the rest of the month. So, you know, we have this new moon in Pisces. We've talked a lot about Pisces last month, especially as a kind of completion energy, closing the evolutionary cycle around the zodiac that starts in Aries. And it's leading to, Pisces is leading to a new beginning signified by Aries. And we're now deep in Pisces. The new moon is here at almost 30 degrees, yeah. And Pisces as a constellation inhabits about 42 degrees of the ecliptic. So when we say we're at 30 degrees Pisces, that's not the critical last degree. But that's, well, about 3/4 of the way through this constellation. Pisces makes way for novelty. Like I said, it kind of precedes novelty. And it can do this constructively by inspiring novelty, or it can do it destructively by dissolving and breaking down and making way for something new, something to making space for something to come and fill. Pisces can play a sort of breakdown/death role. Sometimes it does both. Sometimes it makes way for Aries new beginnings with a creative and a destructive flavor. And I don't think I would ever say that Pisces was ever going to do one and not the other, or that you could ever really fully tease the two apart, the creative and destructive components of Pisces. Pisces represents the totality of truth, the totality of truth. That's something Jeffrey Wolf Green would say. It's because it's beyond limited understandings. I mean, we're limited by the form and the architecture of the human intellect, which is fundamentally ignorant of total truth. And you know, when we contrast it to Sagittarius, we can see a lot in Sag that reflects natural law at the core of all reality. But Pisces, because it contains the real and the unreal, the vividly unreal, including dreams and spiritual dimensions, the truly infinite, right, that transcends our everyday experience. When we have a lot of activity in Pisces, we need to understand it like that. The totality of truth, a relationship to Sag, divine love. Divine love is the Pisces, the big classic, the feeling or the experience of having or being connected to great love. Issues around divine love, what it is, it's unconditional in Pisces, we encounter the unconditional. Unlike all the other constellations, right? They represent different conditions that can be placed on experience and consciousness. And in Pisces, no, we're leaving all that behind. Pisces correlates with those dimensions of life like dreams, past life knowings, teachings from angels or guides or the universe itself, or our own superconsciousness. Anything that comes through like visions or knowings, the unknown and the unknowable. And the unknown and unknowable are usually very eclipsed by the known in the world of our experience. So for these reasons and more, Pisces gets dubbed mystical, and transcendental, and spiritual. So this all takes some getting used to, this area of the sky, and it's it's one of the last adult tastes, right? And in a sense, before people, by the time a person develops a taste for Pisces and for spiritual life, they've usually tried a lot of other adult tastes out, and they've realized what's working for them and what isn't. And those tastes, as vivid as they may be, they get stale, and that's usually when Pisces starts making sense. So it's deep, it's mysterious, it's easy to miss because you're already looking exactly right at it. It's the structure of the matrix of reality. It's the outer world and the inner world and the cosmic mechanism by which they seem to reflect one another. It's really the whole thing at once, the totality. So we don't ever really get it. We don't ever really get Pisces. And I want to say that perhaps the closest that we can come as individuals is to realize that we don't and that we can't. So that's the first step towards truly respecting the mystery of Pisces from a certain point of view. We humans love to pull the known from the unknown. It's like the great human pastime. We go into the unknown and we learn things. We discover things, bringing them into the known. But we don't like to acknowledge the unknowable. We don't like to acknowledge where our limits are and where our knowledge ends. So that's Pisces. That's the season. That's the tone that's set for the month. We have the North Node here, and that's encouraging us to move forward in this Piscean way. You can think of that as taking a leap of faith. And the South Node is here in Virgo, which is nothing if not logical. And the South Node is encouraging us to move beyond or move away from. So we can think of this as a general momentum that the Sun and Moon are now connected directly with in an eclipse way, in a catalytic way, in a change-inducing way, that's asking for us to move beyond the rationally knowable and take a leap of faith. And it's interesting because the nature of this eclipse is one that Bernadette Brady identifies as linked to inventiveness and flashes of genius. Very strong, this eclipse series in Uranian and Neptunian energy. And she says that inventiveness and genius are the hallmarks of this whole series, this entire series of eclipses. There can be intuitive leaps, insights, good ideas, visions, or vivid dreams. And this newfound inspiration can pull individuals away from their social life or relationships, thereby causing strain in their private life. This can be a time when individuals need to be more free, if only for a few weeks. The new moon at 29:52 Pisces is conjunct Chiron at 29:51 Pisces. Now, Chiron's connection to a sun and moon in Pisces is going to bring in the energy of personal healing, medicine, powerful inner growth, and artistic inspiration. Also, creativity and the power of regeneration, the power to regrow things that have been lost or repattern things that no longer serve us. It's very harmoniously situated to the Jupiter-Uranus conjunction, and I think we're likely to have access this month to new healing beginnings, to insight or good ideas about how to move forward in our lives. And these ideas could be weird or visionary in alignment with the general energy of the eclipse and that Brady Saros series I just read. So I want to encourage everyone through the turbulence and through the difficulty of eclipse season to stay open to inspiration and stay open to new ideas and any insights about how to move forward, any insights about how to make change, any insights about new directions, something that may have been fermenting or cooking like I said, since late 2022 or mid 2023. That's how long the nodes have been in Virgo and Pisces. Late 2022, about December, and mid 2023, about June. So this could be, if it does symbolize for you a new direction, a new beginning, or the leading towards of a new beginning, this could be something that has been fermenting or stewing or building or developing over the course of the last couple of years. It could represent a solution to something that has been like that long in its problematic phase for some of us, and for all of us, I think it's going to represent this month. This month, especially, we're looking at the Chiron Sun Moon signature with North Node. It's going to be symbolic of being pulled in powerful healing directions. And equally close in degree is Mercury and Aries at 35:12 and 35 degrees 11 minutes of Pisces. So we have these amazingly close conjunctions. And when conjunctions are this close, they always show. They always have some sort of manifestation. And Aries and Mercury, this will deepen our thinking. This will deepen our considerations very significantly, and it could act like a sort of magnifier or amplifier to Mercury retrograde. It'll increase the likelihood of having radical or profound ideas, just as it can increase the need for freedom from constraint this month. Could be a big Uranus theme. Freedom from constraint. Whenever Uranus is activated, and he is by Jupiter here, we'll have the need for freedom from constraint. Before we focus on that, I want to mention Mars and Saturn in Aquarius. The two malefics only make one contact. If you look, Mars is not in contact with other planets, and Saturn is not in contact with other planets, except Jupiter. This Jupiter sextile is the only contact, and I think that will help this a good deal. The Saturn and Mars together amplifies new beginnings, and Saturn can bring careful new steps, kind of a measured approach, cautious shifts in direction. And it should help us take advantage of any of the insights or ideas we have this cycle, grounding them in action. That's Saturn, Mars, right? Grounding them, Saturn, in action, Mars. Jupiter and Uranus are the big boys, though. They're the ones we're really probably going to be focused on more this month in like how this all lines up with your natal chart, if you're taking a look at that, I would pay special attention to late Aries, just like I would pay special attention to Pisces, generally speaking. But Jupiter conjunct Uranus in Aries, these two planets, they work really well together. They're very fortunate and very successful combination. And they're not always smooth, but they're usually very lucky and successful. And they work together to create discovery, fortune, invention. They are the sign of a leap forward. And in critical late Aries, they want to start something new. And the urgency of this will be alleviated by Saturn's contact with Mars. But still, the Martian planet is in Aquarius, and just like Uranus in Mars, they're in each other's stars, and so this resonance of movement forward is going to be very strong. Saturn's contact will alleviate that kind of charged, jolted, kind of spasmodic motion forward, that kind of premature before we're ready motion forward. Saturn being with Mars here may give us consideration and the power to measure our steps forward. But we could be challenged to take big steps as this month unfolds. It's a very powerful signature. We have Jupiter, Uranus, and Saturn with Mars. If you look, this cluster here of conjunctions and sextiles, it really puts a lot of emphasis, a lot of power emphasis on action. Action, Mars in Aquarius. Mars in Aquarius wants to move forward. He wants to take new steps, do new things. So we've got healing insight with Chiron, the strength to take brave new steps, leaps forward even for some of us, cautious steps for others. It's a time to pay attention to the language of life, the language of experience and meaning that life speaks to us in. Pisces season can feel like there are glitches in the matrix, or like the intelligence of the world is contacting you specifically and directly. And that's because it is. That's Pisces season. It's not as if everyone will have a dream that just spells out what to do, but guidance via Pisces comes in the language of feelings and impressions, knowings, synchronicities, seeming coincidences. So pay attention to the mystery of the living universe as it interacts with us. This is a month to deepen your relationship to the abstract, the oceanic, the vast and incomprehensible, the impersonal and transcendental idea of divinity, the sacred. Maybe some sense that the timeless wisdom of the cosmos pervades each cell of our bodies and everything that is. Maybe some sense that the world is alive and can respond to prayer, to magic, to endeavor, to intentions, to thoughts even. These are the mysteries of Pisces season for us to discover and connect with in our own way. And I wish everyone a very, very, very joyous month, because this has so much potential for good and healing. And now let's take a look at the transit. All right, fam, we're here going to take a look at the transits. So I just want to take this just sort of stepwise and say that here on the 8th of April, we'll have that new moon. We did talk a bit about Eris and Mercury. We talked a little about Saturn and Mars. That'll perfect on the 10th. This is really signifying success through discipline, and it really depends on the rest of the chart. So in Aquarius, the energy is really beneficial and humanitarian. You see them together here in the stars of Aquarius, and Mars will provide an impulse towards the new and the unknown, and Saturn will provide stability through change, and that's also stability through change signified by the Uranus Jupiter in Aries, making that contact. So Saturn helps slow down and root, and I think that's the one of the major sort of effects of having this 2 days after the new moon is we'll be kind of coming out of the starting gate maybe a little slow, especially if we're driven to change, if we want to change and have desire, strong intention to change. Saturn might put a little bit of regulation or delimitation on that. Sun conjunct Mercury on the 11th, and then which is nice, but I'm not going to say overly much about it. Communication and expression could be very charged. It could be, especially because of the closeness to Eris. We have this Sun Mercury Eris sort of configuration that will take us really through the 14th, when the Sun and Eris conjunct. And that whole thing is just kind of a wild card. Honestly, it could be a time of uncertainty. Eris has a really well-deserved reputation for chaotic manifestation. It attends chaos, and in Pisces with the Sun, it's going to be a great time to I'd say lay low, but it's going to be a great time to have strategies for when we're challenged. So bridging the refined and spiritual side of ourselves with the animal side is a Pisces Eris bridge. Pisces representing the refined and spiritual, Eris definitely connected to our animal side, our raw primitive side. So honoring our basic body impulses within the totality of high spiritual truth. Remembering that we're spiritual animals. We're kind of primates, wired for connection and capable of abstraction. Bam, right? Throw it in the Piscean soup pot and stir vigorously. you have the human experience of spirituality. It's part of it. It comes with the territory, and this is the time to honor it. Moving through, I wanna get the first quarter chart up. I had some requests for the inclusion of the first quarter, and so that'd be the waxing moon chart. And I just want to get this up on the screen so that people can take a good look. We do have a moon in late Mercury opposite to Pluto, so we see that through the development of this lunar cycle, Pluto is going to play a role. He'll T-square the full moon. And we can go back then to these transits, and I want to kind of fast forward. I want to jump ahead to late in the day on the 20th. I'm skipping forward because this is actually something that is very powerful. This is the Jupiter-Uranus conjunction, and the rest of all of these alignments in that period of time are kind of happening in the umbrella of this, I'd say in the context of this. So we have Jupiter and Uranus meeting in critical late Aries. That's the last degree of Aries. Aries is representing adventurous, and conquering instinctual desires. Not conquering instinctual desires, but instinctual desires to conquer. Very, very important distinction. So Taurus is representing a more calm, grounded relationship to ourself and the world around us, and one that appreciates comfort and orients itself to the world by a higher standard than base instinct. So in Aries we have base instinct, and in Taurus we have the incorporation of our experiences there into a value system and a set of inner standards and a way of relating to ourselves and the world around. And this is a conjunction that brings a lot of power, a lot of fortune. When we see the 20th and the days that this conjunction is going to be in orb, from the 15th on through maybe the 26th or 27th, we'll see when we look at those transits later this month, later this video. It brings a huge success signature. It brings a very powerful, accomplishing energy that can really move things forward very beautifully. The alignment itself of Jupiter and Uranus is sextiled by Mars right about the 19th of April. And Mars is now into Pisces at this time, still conjunct Saturn, and his sextile really signifies a chance to tap into this powerful Jupiter-Uranus energy consciously. The sextile is often indicating a choice that needs to be made. So the sextile links the energy of Mars, action, risk-taking, chances, our adventurous, courageous side, taking chances, making moves, doing new things. All of this is linked to the very successful signature of Jupiter-Uranus, but it's asking for us to make a choice, to engage, and that choice could be different for everybody. But I do want to make the nature of the sextile known, that the sextile is very harmonious and it functions well together, where it symbolizes that Mars here and Jupiter-Uranus are going to work well together, but it's asking for involvement. A sextile usually asks for some kind of engagement. And this may clarify around the 19th, the way it's asking for each of us to lean in. We have Mercury and Venus, another kind of these inner planet conjunctions. Sometimes I don't feel like saying much about them. Mercury and Venus is nice. It'll just kind of be a little bit of flash in the pan of niceness, good congenial communication and nice. It's very artistic, it's very refined, it's very sensible. But these two planets move very quickly. This doesn't, just like Sun, Mercury, this doesn't tend to be as impactful in my experience. But in the context of all this, it could lend a certain understanding to the switch that we need to flip relative to the actions that we're taking in our life, and how to tap into the success of Jupiter-Uranus. The last thing that I see here at the bottom is that the Sun Sun squares Pluto April 21st. Many people would not read the square to Aries as relevant. It's about 7 degrees from exact. That's wider than some astrologers would even read a square. I used to be one of those tight angle astrologers because I heard it was better or more advanced. And then now I'd like to think I know better. I think this could show that Eris and Pluto are still in orb of square when the Sun joins Pluto in exact square. Pluto and Eris in harsh combo, they bring hardship, they bring sickness, but they bring depth. And the square means that we have a time now around the 21st to bridge our conscious mind, that's Sun, with the depth of our most unconscious self, that's Pluto. And while this is usually challenged or challenging, Pluto in Capricorn square the Sun in critical early Aries feels like a real springboard to me, a powerful boost to stabilize any of the new directions that we might be called to move in. So let's look at the full moon. Let's look at the full moon on April 23rd, the full moon is really in the pulse of a lunation. The full moon is where you see the most dynamic, charged energy, the highest expression of what I like to call dynamic tension or just charge. Just the energy of the situation is high when the moon is full. And this full moon will happen April 23rd, 2024. We have the Sun in Aries. Let's make note. He's 2 degrees 40 minutes in, and a moon in Virgo. So this is symbolic of action, but Virgo style, right? So that's considered action. And when we bring in the Capricorn Pluto, who's T-squaring the Sun and Moon, we have the energies of Capricorn also signifying considered action, calculated risk, or brave considerations, adventurous thinking, maybe straying into new streams of thought and consideration, especially around the theme of the new moon eclipse. Any themes that were prominent for us around the time of the new moon, we could be taking new action or considering new actions to be taken at this time. That's sort of how I see it relating to the context very generally, the context of the cycles around it. In light of the blessing around action in new directions and adventure, new beginnings and everything, we're likely moving towards a time of more vigorous action as Mars and Saturn separate. But again, the T-square to Pluto, this could really see our strategic moves forward intensified. Pluto plays a role in the points of this lunation, so we can expect the emergence of unseen factors from behind the curtain, perhaps things behind the veil of secrecy, or perhaps not. Perhaps we won't even really know what's going on. We'll just have a sense. But Pluto T-squared the Sun and Moon could mean that things are less obvious, where the impulses that are driving the process forward, any new change that wants to happen, the impulses that are driving the process forward from a deep level, they may seem hidden, they may seem confused, these new organizational principles. We do also have, for this full moon, Mercury really close with the North Node, and even closer, I think, opposite the South Node. Communication will likely be challenged as Mercury sits between the North Node and Chiron, and Venus is like kind of touched here by contact with Eris. And I think our thinking could be just kind of distorted or muddled. We have that with North Node. We have the potential for that with Aries. And at this time, I think around the full moon, our understanding could just not be at peak. I will say, though, that when the South Node ruler, now in Virgo, that is Mercury, is closely with the North Node, then this is indicating a resonance with great power and momentum in the form of a resource signified by Mercury that's going to be available to help move evolution forward. And this is going to be collective and individual. We have mental organization, communication, thought, speech, art, writing. These are just the beginning of the tip of the iceberg of things Mercury correlates with and rules. And these are the arenas, these are the areas of life that we can really look for at this time. That'll move things toward the North Node prerogative of Piscean understanding and inspired leap of faith. Remember, that wants to happen from the new moon. We have this opportunity now with Mercury and the nodes. This could make our thoughts really intense at this time. It could make us fixated. And it can make things hard to talk about. But we're really blessed by the closeness of this Jupiter-Uranus conjunction. And I think there are some dark intensities. There are dark intensities. There's Eris, there's Pluto, there's North Node bearing down on Mercury, and the North Node may draw a Pisces Mercury kind of dreamily forward. Draw Mercury dreamily forward, and while the Sun in Aries is really given to an impulse to act. And this is a time to measure things, as I see it. This is a time to adjust course, to integrate new patterns of thinking that are going to have come through. And just remember that, there's nothing to remember because we haven't been there yet. But when we get to the next month's chart, when we get to the chart for May's new moon, you'll see the whole of next month is going to be really excellent for making new starts, taking turns, taking chances, new beginnings in general. And after a long season of breakdown for us, of breakdown for many of us, that's led to a need for, in many cases, new beginnings. Don't rush now. At the time of this full moon, April 23rd, don't be in a rush to get this rolled out, because you're going to have time. And the next month, the May lunar cycle, really supports the taking of bold new steps as well. So you're not in a time crunch, like, there's room to breathe and room to plan. All right, let's move on. Let's move toward looking at transits. Yeah, get my big head out of the way and yes. All right, yeah. So right about here on the 24th, just after the full moon, we do see a lot happening. The 25th is a busy day with Mercury stationing direct in the territory of North Node and really kind of playing hopscotch with its opposition to South Node. And that is I mean, kiss your smooth thinking and your logical elegance good night. Kiss them good night for a couple days and just let them take their little nap would be my advice for almost everybody. And then everybody else, even if you're able to function in some kind of, if you're an exception to the mercurial rules and you're able to function at this time around the 24th, 5th, and 6th, everyone else is going to be under some really heavy brain fog. So just expect it. And here's Mercury stationing direct, so it's actually at its deepest retrograde degree, right? And it's time to let go of ideas that don't serve. It's time to let go of ideas that don't reflect the highest truth that you can, connect to at this time. It's definitely time to step up from the past and update and upgrade the neural pathways, the thinking, letting old structures die, and letting supportive new structures take root. And we have Venus conjoined to Eris at the same time on the 25th of April. And Venus softens Eris, although we should be aware of the kind of propensity here at this time for projections, the ability to project in the world of our relationships, projecting anything that we have not resolved in ourselves, projecting anything that we've sort of repressed or suppressed within our own psyche, seeing it in others, being antagonized by it. That can be an Eris process. For better or worse, Eris rules that process to my recognition. And Eris will magnetize what we're hiding from ourselves in the form of others. It'll bring that what we need to see to us in the form of other people. So all that's happening together right after the full moon. Yeah, look out. And then moving forward, we have Mars. We have a Mars-Neptune conjunction. That's going to be great for art, generally, music, performance, theater. It's good for exciting and vivid creations. It's good for experimentation. It's a very theatrical influence that could have some of us behaving in illogical ways. But Mars and Neptune have a desire to get lost, to go on escapist adventures. So be careful for that too around that time. And just like Sun squared Pluto, Venus squares Pluto for the waning quarter moon, very, very closely there. It may challenge interpersonal dealings of all kinds, and it'll make some relationships. Where's Venus? Here's Venus squared to Pluto. Yeah, it's gonna, the Venus and Pluto context, they make some relationships and they break others, but it is like so much about the cycle, about new beginnings, and leading towards those new energies, those new starts that are so emphasized. All right, now let's take a moment just to observe the waning quarter chart. We do see the moon here in Capricorn with Pluto, so still playing that role. Not a lot of close relationships that the moon is making. Yeah. All right, so we'll leave that up for anyone who wants to make a note, and then pause your video and take a look at that chart. And yeah, and then getting back to the transits, just talking about Venus Pluto for that lunation. Shortly after Pluto will station retrograde. So keep your eyes on the United States. Pluto's actually in its furthest forward position, and when it stations retrograde, it will begin to move backwards again over that natal position of United States for its second contact of 3. Second contact of 3 this year. Mars will sextile Pluto just a day later. And again, with the Mars sextile and the idea of personal choice, I think needing to take action or play a role in your own success, I think from the 30th to the 4th are just going to be big Pluto days. We have Venus square Pluto, Pluto station retrograde, and then Mars sextile Pluto. So for this period of time, as the cycle starts to wind itself down, be aware that there'll be Pluto days. Things could be intense. Things could be polarized. Things could be just diabolical in their manifestation, in that they could be manipulative or coercive. There could be a quality that's Pluto is can be a very difficult actor when he takes the center stage. And the very last thing here, before we get on to the next new moon, which is very exciting, although we're not going to spend a lot of time on it, is Sun sextile Saturn, which happens very early on the 7th. And I think this is just a great way to ground things before the next new moon. Taking all the Pluto stuff of the couple days ahead, the couple days before, and the Mars-Neptune stuff. These outer planet transits to inner planets, where you have the combination of Mars-Neptune, combination of Venus-Pluto, combination of Mars-Pluto. They can really affect our conscious experience by bringing deeper, less predictable, less organized flows of energy from really powerful dimensions of the consciousness, like the sub and unconscious, that really have the potential to make decisions, to drive this thing. So when Saturn sextiles Sun right here after all that, we'll have a chance to go into the next new moon in a little bit more grounded and organized way. And I want to look at that chart now. Next new moon. And yes. So we're in Aries now. We're at 1630 Aries, and we're with every benefic: Venus, Jupiter, Uranus, or Uranus and Jupiter, Venus, Mercury and Chiron are very close. And all in all, Saturn is in Aquarius, 8 arc minutes, semi-square Pluto. So we see here, this aspect here is very close. And when Saturn and Pluto make close aspect, when they get together, it's a marked exception to the Saturn rules. It makes Saturn very rebellious and very different and very it's very forceful in doing things in his own way. So we have this in the energy of Aquarius, and the main thrust forward is in late Aries, surrounded by a party of the benefics. All right, friends. I think that we're there. I would like to just take a little bit of time at the end of the video, promote some of the projects that I love and some of the things that are going on. Please, if you have a Facebook account, look up Radical Astrology on Facebook and join. You'll just have to answer some questions to prove that you're not a robot. It's a great space. There was just an eclipse roundtable that I just really loved. I'll link to that video in the description to this. And some other projects like the Holistic Health Happy Hour. It's just a cool space where a lot of people connect in really positive, healthy ways. So join if that interests you. Radical Astrology on Facebook. On or around the time of the new moon, I'll be recording the next in my dialogue series. The next dialogue is going to be with Maria Schumacher, who people from Radical Astrology will know as our diva of the daily charts. And she and I are going to look at Uranus Jupiter. Going to go deep diving some of these patterns and just talking about Uranus Jupiter, that conjunction on the 20th of April. I want to just remind everybody that my loved one is in a terrible situation right now and just could use all the help that she can get. She's 8 months into a disability application and unable to work, and just spends a lot of time hoping that this process will be resolved as quickly and beneficially as possible. If you can support or share her fundraiser, I'll leave a link up on the screen. And speaking of links up on the screen, it should be oneskyastrology right there. That's my website. I do evolutionary work with the constellational zodiac. That's the simple expression of it, but it's a very profound combination of logics and methodologies that lead to healing and growth and self-knowledge. So if any of those interest you, and I hope they do, come check my site out. Come see me for natal consultation or transits, or just ask me anything. Let's leave it there. That's all I've got. Nothing else. It's been a discombobulated video in true Pisces and eclipse format, and I want to thank you for staying with me. Feel free, please, to like, to subscribe, to do the things that help my channel. And love you all, and I'll see you next month for the May video. And before that, I'll see you for a dialogue with Maria Schumacher. Jupiter Uranus 420, buddy. All right, fam.